Okay, we have 16 people that have perished in this fire so far, and it's still burning as of January 12th, 2025, which is today's date. We have four fires here, as you can see on watchduty.org. I love this website. They do a great job of really detailing the fires, and you can zoom in and see a lot of detail here. It blows away the CAL FIRE page. So if you're not familiar with watchduty.org and you just want to check out the fire at any given time and see what's going on for yourself, you could do that. It's a really cool website. So right now we're zoomed in on the Palisades fire, but it only shows you the fires that you're zoomed in on the map, as you can see. And when you zoom out, it adds the fires that are going on in your zoom. If we zoom in on the details, it looks like they still have a level 3 get out of town evacuation order. 14,000 acres have been burned, 27% containment. Most of us have heard about the evil that comes out of Hollywood, specifically the studios. They've been known to work with the CIA, just like some of the other companies that we are familiar with that have taken their marching orders from our government on what they can and can't do in private business, like Facebook. This helped form a lot of friendships between our deep state government and Hollywood. This is true. We all know Hollywood has put a lot of predictive programming content into their movies and TV shows. We've all seen the Disney shows with inappropriate sexual references. And the number 666 appears in Walt Disney's very own signature. Very interesting how he just put those sixes in there strategically in his signature. This is just one example. How about the movie Monsters, depicting what is really happening to your children at night when they're afraid to sleep alone in their beds? But the real monsters look nothing like the monsters in the movie. Nothing like the cute, fluffy, cuddly little monsters that are in that movie. And you know what I'm talking about. Because if you're watching this, you're grown up enough to know and remember when you were a kid and you were in bed and there was something spooking you, right? I was spooked. One night I wouldn't go to sleep and I kept yelling for my mom because I was scared. I just had a feeling inside that something was wrong. And so I kept yelling for my mom to bring me a glass of water because that was the only thing I could get her to come in, like tell her I needed a drink. And she'd bring me in one of those little Dixie cups from the bathroom. We all used to have those little dispensers back in the day, if you're old enough to remember that. And she would bring me up one of those little tiny cups of water and she'd bring it to my bedside and let me drink it. And then she'd say, "Now get some sleep." But I couldn't get any sleep because I knew something was wrong. And wow, I guess the ghost that lived in the house or the one that's attached to me, I'm not sure, didn't like it. Just stood there, floating off the ground with beige pants and a very light pastel yellow shirt. I could draw this guy if I was an artist. I remember him very vividly. I don't know who he was. But I do know as soon as he appeared above my bed, I threw the covers over my head, and that was it. I wasn't going to say another word. And when I peeped out a few minutes later to see if he was still there, I looked and he was still there. Terrifying. I put the covers back over my head, and you didn't hear another peep out of me. Nothing. Until the next morning. When I woke up, the sun was shining bright into the windows, and he was gone. There's something lurking, okay? Anyway, we know that Hollywood has put a lot of predictive programming and, I don't know, spells or something in their movies. Let's take a look at some of their stuff that they've done. Wow. Did anybody else see that in Lion King? Do you really see that out of the face? And some people could say, "Oh, you're reaching, you're reaching." Okay, let's continue. Here is Little Mermaid. Look at this phallic symbol up in the castle. Phallic symbol. My question is, did this illustrator's house burn in the fires? Or who told him to do that? Who pushes this? Look at this. Who pushes this behavior? This is Minnie with her beautiful dress and her boobs, supposedly, sticking up into Mickey's face, and he's looking down at her boobs, but that's not boobs. Let's be real. It's not boobs. Okay? We know what that is. And here we have the rescuers, and look at them. Look at this naked picture of a woman in a Disney film. Here's one where they're advertising basically a strip club on the side of the highway here, top down, truck stop, top down. And here is baby Hermit. Herman spotted walking under a woman's skirt and briefly points his fingers towards her underwear. Yeah, he looks like a little demon looking up in someone's skirt. I hear frequently of kids exploring sexually when they're young. Is this why? They're getting the ideas from somewhere. It's not from you. What a convenient conundrum for the state of California to have. For all these people to be out of their homes and not afford to rebuild. And so they're forcibly forced to sell their property to the state of California. Now they'll have to sell out at a discount price to the state, probably forcibly so, like in Maui. And then they're homeless. I bet we'll see some high rises built on Malibu Beach. And everyone can have a Malibu beachfront home then. New hotels and high rise condos, and each condo will be equivalent to the price of one of the homes that were being sold individually side by side. I bet. I bet. Well, this should help the problem they're having in the state with not having enough room for everybody. Although I'm sure it'll be priced out of the range for most people. And not everyone that lives in the Palisades or Hollywood have lots of money. Some of these older homes on the Malibu Route 1 beach, when you're driving down Route 1, on the left are a bunch of little beach homes. Not so little, but some are fairly small. And then on the right is mountain range, mostly, with some homes on it. And that's where the Palisades are back in there. But on the Malibu beach, there's these older homes. And some of them have the families have tried to hold on to these homes and keep them in their family. And so they pay them off and then they pass them down family to family. And the families that inherit them, they have to pay the $50,000 a year tax on them. There's a lot of people that live in that area that aren't multimillionaires that hold those homes, and they will not be able to rebuild, I can guarantee you. And that is just sad. How could this be possible? Cars with molten metal dripping down all the way down the street because the fire is so hot, but the trees above it and all around it are still there, still standing, not charred, leaves still hanging on the trees. Why weren't they just incinerated into nothing, like the car underneath of it? And they're also noticing that with the cars, the interior isn't burned. Like the vinyl, you can still see it, but the underneath in the engine and all of that has been melted and the metal's dripping down the street, out of the car. When do you ever see a car fire where the metal is dripping down and all over the place. There's so many instances of this that have happened in this fire. How could it be that the vinyl wouldn't be melted with all that molten metal? There's something about the way these fires are started that have that signature. This is very reminiscent of the parking lot. Do you remember the parking lot next to the Twin Towers? All the cars in the parking lot, huge parking lot, incinerated. All the cars looked just like this. Weren't even near the Twin Towers. Why? Why? How did this happen? So that leads me to the next part of this show, which is talking about how the fires could be being started. Let's not forget about the whistleblower, Eric Hecker. He came out and spoke about this at the last Stephen Greer UFO press conference. And he also appeared on the Sean Ryan show recently. I'll leave a link in the description box below for that episode where he has more time than the press conference to talk about every detail of what went on. So I highly recommend that you watch it because it is mind blowing. And I do believe it is linked in with these fires somehow. So Eric is a former Navy contractor for Raytheon, which is a major U.S. defense contractor and very sus company. Very sus. It's been working hand in hand with the deep state for many years. No doubt they hold many of the secrets that we should be privy to. I mean, our tax dollars are going to fund these programs. Our tax dollars are allotted to Raytheon to conduct business with the deep state, black projects, whatever you want to call it. It's our money. But all these secrets are held and used against us. Just a private company taking over the interests of the United States citizens, like many others, such as Lockheed, to name a huge one. Eric was basically in charge of all the plumbing operations for the whole base, a huge responsibility. Because he was a master plumber and in charge of the entire facility, he had access to every room. He could go anywhere he wanted, even the top secret locked rooms. There were times when he had to be around when there was a meeting going on and he heard things. Ooh. He also had friends he made up there and gave him some information about what was really going on. He talks about a piece of equipment up there that's capable of doing many different things throughout the planet, operated from Antarctica. It's a listening device, apparently, also. Hmm. Is this what they're using to listen to us because we know we're being listened to? You can have a private conversation with your friend, and in a few minutes, when you get on Facebook or Twitter or wherever you go, X, Instagram, you'll get an ad. You'll get an ad for whatever it was you were just talking about. So if someone mentions to you they've been looking in the store for belts or a handbag, and next thing you know, you're going to be looking on there and there's going to be an ad for a handbag. And this is a technology that was produced openly. It's not a secret. McDonald's is the first one to purchase this, use this technology from the Black Military Industrial Complex. It's a technology that while you're sleeping at night, they download thoughts into your brain. And the thoughts are like, I'm dying for a cheeseburger from McDonald's. I love McDonald's French fries. I have to go to McDonald's today and get some food. So this technology has been out for quite some time. It's not new, and it could be running off of that machine. That's all I'm saying. because so apparently it's a listening device too, but right now we're talking about weather modification, and apparently it's a multifunction piece of equipment. And this equipment can create devastating natural occurrences like earthquakes, hurricanes, and wind events. The equipment is housed in Antarctica. Eric said they were planning these weather events in these meetings. He overheard them talking while he was doing his work, going in and out of rooms, plus what he picked up from his friends. And basically, he said that they had created a terrible disaster. I think it was in 2011. He heard them talking about the disaster that they created, an earthquake, when they were testing the equipment, and it was a lot more powerful than they even thought it was going to be. So now I'm going to share with you some of the footage that I came across online. I just wanted to show you. So I'm going to play this video, and it's claiming that all three of the fires seem to be started at the same time. Let's take a look. From a satellite image. Look at that. Satellite imagery is so amazing. I mean, that looks like the ground with a couple of coals spilled on it from a campfire. But it's actually, it's us, it's our Earth, that's our continent there. And something obviously hit it. Look at that. All started at the same exact time. Wow. Now on Instagram, check this out. Wow. What is this? It looks like it says mysterious explosions in clouds spotted over south central LA. Was it an experiment or a phenomena? Wow. That is wild. Look at that. I don't know when this is from. Someone posted it 3 days ago on Instagram. And I don't know when it was filmed, if it's recent or not, but yeah, that's concerning. Quite concerning. Let's check it out one more time. Wow. What in the world is causing these fires? We've seen so many things caught on camera. Everybody has a camera nowadays, and they're pulling their cameras out and they're catching so many things. Look at this picture. Again, I don't know when it's from or where it's from. It might not even be California, but it's a picture that somebody put out there with a laser coming through the sky and creating an explosion. Looks real, doesn't look all perfect like AI would make it. Okay, and here is a patent for a directed energy weapon, US patent. Now we're going to go to UFO Media on TikTok, and look at this thing. Look at this. Wow. Again, this is posted on August 31st of 2023. I don't know when it was taken, but my point is this type of technology exists and is being used. It's being tested and used. The next clip I want to show you shows a fiery orb. It seems to have a mind of its own. Check it out.
This is a video that was captured 2 days ago in Los Angeles of a streaking ball of fire. It was burning up through the sky. It's not Goku. It's not your favorite anime. And it certainly isn't a drone or an orb. We have not seen any orbs that can do this, and we have not seen drones that can do this yet. One thing is for sure, and that's something's going on. And just
Was that a comet or fireworks or I don't know what. Something weird. So I'm sure you heard they ran out of water at the fire hydrants. There's no drought in California right now that I'm aware of. I live in California. I haven't heard of any drought. Let's take a look at the Santa Ana Rivershed Water Authority page. This is the website for the cloud seeding pilot program in the Santa Ana Rivershed. This is the area where I live in California in Riverside and San Bernardino counties, which is where all the water comes from that like goes down and drains into the whole LA area. It just it provides a lot of water for the whole area. As you can see, it says up here, cloud seeding pilot program have been postponed until November 15th, 2025 due to the presence of burn scars from the wildfires this summer in the region. By delaying the pilot program for the next year, cloud seeding will not contribute to potential debris flows in the burn scar areas. Hmm. Really? Because I am all over this website. I look at it often, and this just changed. Before this, it said the program is postponed this year due to the overwhelming success of the program in the 23-24 season. We had an overabundance of water here from the activity from this program, and I saw it in action myself driving down the road. I could look over in the desert in the middle of nowhere. There's a big machine and it's puffing out these giant clouds on a windy day and it just takes it. And it always seems to be extra windy days. And now I have to wonder if the wind is natural or if they stir up the wind first with that sweet little machine they have down in Antarctica and then release the clouds. But they're not always being released by airplanes. Just be aware. A lot of people look in the cloud up and they see the airplane stripes, and I'm not saying they aren't chemtrails because they are. But what I'm saying is now they have these large machines, and I have a picture of one. I'll have to try to find it. I was actually driving down the road one day, and one of these machines was being delivered up in the Mojave Desert and this was around the Joshua Tree area. And I was in like off the back roads in the back desert, like on a dirt road. And I was actually out running around the desert that day, just exploring, and I came across a police presence with something being towed. And you never see that in the desert here. It's very unusual. So I was very curious about it, and I had to pull over to the side of the road to let the convoy go by, and there was like six police cars, the machine, and then six more police cars. So they delivered this machine that day. I just happened to be there when it was being delivered, and I knew that's what it was. So then later on, my daughter and I, we drove back over there and we looked for the machine, and we found it. And it was sitting there on the side of the road with a police officer guarding it. You know something's controversial when it's delivered by six police cars and then it has a police guard guarding it at all times. We don't want this. We don't want this. So why is this being implemented? This is not our desire. They know they have to put the police presence around it because people would tear it up because it doesn't belong in our desert. Mother Nature does her thing, and we need to let her do it. What was the reason for turning off the water going to the fire hydrants? Because we know that they were turned off, just like in Maui. That's not a finite supply in a fire hydrant. That links into the local water supply. So when everything was going nuts and tensions were high, not that they aren't still high, but Newsom was interviewed on the off the cuff. Let's see what Newsom had to say about the fire hydrants running out of water.
figure that out.
What is the situation with the water? Obviously, in the Palisades, ran out last night in the hydrants. I was talking to the firefighter in this block. They left because there was no water in the hydrant here.
The local folks are trying to figure that out. I mean, just when you have a system that's not dissimilar to what we've seen in other extraordinarily large-scale fires, whether it be pipe, electricity, or whether it just be the complete overwhelm of the system. I mean, those hydrants are typical for 2 or 3 fires, maybe 1 fire. You have something at this scale, but again, that's going to be determined by the local.
Excuse me. 2 or 3 fires, really? Really? Fire hydrants link into the regular drinking water supply. That's not special water. That's not like a tank that's under there. We've all seen fire hydrants going off in cities. And when they do, they gush and gush and gush, and they don't turn off until someone comes and turns them off. So saying that the fire hydrants ran out of water makes no sense at all, right? Doesn't make any sense. Maui's not a dry island, but it burned just fine. With the right tools, they can make anything happen, I guess. Did you know that the sheriff of Maui was newly hired in his position when the fires took place? Oh, you didn't know this? His previous job was in Las Vegas, of all places. And yes, he was the sheriff when that horrific incident took place in Las Vegas. Make that make sense. There were men working in that police department that were underneath the sheriff that were waiting for that job for like 25 and 30 years. I don't know if you've read the story about that, but they all put up a big fight about this guy coming in and taking over, an unknown person to the police force. He's not next in line for this position. He hasn't worked at this police department for 25 years waiting for this head job. And the sheriff at the time wasn't resigning. They got rid of the sheriff and brought this new guy in. He was not accepted very well. And oh, by the way, they also replaced the old sheriff's secretary, who basically ran everything. And don't you find that odd that they just brought this guy in from nowhere and put him into the top position at the sheriff's office in the Maui Police Department? And never mind the fact that he used to be the sheriff in Las Vegas when the shootings took place. You see a pattern here? You think he's a real sheriff? Or a CIA agent pretending to be a sheriff? We have CIA whistleblowers all over YouTube right now talking about how they would go out and they would have to just perform a job. They'd just be like, plop down. Fake it till you make it, baby. Fake it till you make it. Who's going to do anything? Nobody's going to do anything because you're being put in there. The little pieces can be arranged and pushed around and moved so that the right scenario can be perfect for when they want to do their dirty work. This is what we're dealing with here. Guys that were in line for that job in Maui that have been at the police department for 30 years, waiting for that head position, were told to go pack their desk and leave. New sheriff in town. He's got a job to do. Moving on, I have a couple other very interesting clips to show you.
All right, everyone, welcome back. This is going to blow your mind. Once again, we are looking at Area 51. As these fires are going on in Southern California, they are laying something over Area 51. It's then being shot by the NEXRAD radar system. You can see that clear as day right here. It is then expanding and being dropped right over Southern California. And then take a look at what happens to Area 51. This is totally insane. This is not normal, and this is not birds or bugs. I can promise you that. There is something very odd going on with the military or something that's taking place in Area 51 and then being dropped in the sky, which is then carried over by the jet stream or some sort of wind pattern into Southern California. I talked talked about this yesterday when we predicted these wildfires based on a northwest anomaly that we saw, again from the NEXRAD radar system, which then led to insane wildfires in Ventura County. Now we are seeing more and more of this being dumped over Area 51 and then flows into Southern California. What is going on here? And then look at how the NEXRAD towers go absolutely berserk. There is no chance that this isn't related, my friends. This is now 2 days in a row we have captured this happening over Area 51 and flowing down into Southern California, exactly where these wildfires are. And I know a lot of people will give us a hard time for talking about this, but how can you not? This is not a coincidence whatsoever, and I'm going to continue digging into this to see exactly how long they continue this for. If you look close enough, you can find stuff like this every day on these satellite charts. Alright, so one final time, let's dissect this right here. We have it dropped over Area 51, a perfect lineup with where the base is, and just like yesterday, as soon as it's laid out, we have the zap coming from the radar, the same one coming from Nevada right here. Then we have the expansion as it moves into Southern California. Just like yesterday, those radars start going off and crazy. And that's when this disco party begins in Nevada. Check this out. This is just unbelievable to see happening and then have no one point this out. Just as the cloud is getting over Southern California where all the wildfires are, we start seeing the NEXRAD towers from different states crisscrossing right over Area 51. Those are where our scalar beams are happening. And this is just insane to watch. You can see that cloud dissipating over Southern California and the Baja. We'll backtrack. You can see
Wow. And then there's some orbs that have been found flying all over through. I mean, I've seen so many. This is just one. Let's check it out. Look in the middle of the screen.
And speaking of the Palisades fire, you are looking live from Sky 5.
See it right there in the middle of
as
the
you can see,
screen,
this
dead
fire
center,
went 11,800
from
acres
right to
at
left.
last report, and it doesn't look like it's slowing down.
Yeah, these are live images from our Sky 5 helicopter.
Just
Rich
cruising
Cricket
along.
is above it
Doesn't
all.
look like a
high risk.
conventional drone at all. It looks like one of those plasma type orbs. Leaves a little trail.
And speaking of the Palisades fire, you are looking live from Sky 5. And as you can see, this fire went
right
11,800 acres at last report,
right here.
and it doesn't look like it's slowing down.
Yeah, these are live images from our Sky 5 helicopter. Rich
I could
Cricket
pull at least
is
15 of
above
these
it
up,
all. High
probably.
risk.
I've seen so many of them. No doubt everyone's going kind of crazy. I saw some firefighters putting out a dumpster fire with purses or things that look like a purse, like a tote bag. It was very small, and they were running back and forth between the truck and the dumpster. They were like going to the truck and getting, the little bag of water and running over and putting it out. Almost like some dumb little contest they were trying to win. Doesn't the truck have hoses? Where did all of our years of emergency, corporate, and OSHA training get us? That was so weird. That's all I have for you today. Thanks for joining me. Please share this video with your friends and family to support the channel, and like and subscribe so you'll get updates and you'll know when I post a new video. More to come soon. Thanks for watching.